All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for August 16th, 2023. And before I get into the minutes, I just wanted to acknowledge a now former board member, Tim Ellenbrook, who volunteered for at least 5 years and was a great asset to the board. He's a great person and an architect, and his insight was extremely valuable, and he was just a wonderful colleague and a great guy. Always showed up, was always at site inspections and everything else. And unfortunately, because of personal reasons, he had to resign from the board, and we accepted that resignation with regret, but with a lot of gratitude, because he was a great board member, and he really put a lot of effort into the job and was just invaluable. So anyway, I just wanted to shout out for Tim Allenbrook and thank him again for his service. So that takes care of that. But as far as the minutes go, has everybody had a chance to take a look at the minutes from July 19th, the last meeting we had? I didn't see any corrections.
Yes.
All right. That was one of Tim's things, by the way. Tim was a real stickler. Every dot, every period, every comma, every whatever. But it looked fine to me. So, anybody, any problems? Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes for the July 19th meeting as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No abstentions? Passed. Okay. And we have a pretty small agenda tonight. There are no announcements, there's no new applications, but we do have a couple of public hearings, and we have some old business. So the first matter that's on for public hearings is Mr. Williams, Brian Williams.
Me, Brian Williams?
Brian, you Brian Williams?
Yes, I am.
So that application is up, so for public hearing.
Okay.
So come on up.
What do you want me to do?
Exactly what you did the last time.
Just dance?
Yeah. Well, is anybody here for the application?
Or should I be up next to me?
Yeah, you should be up by the mic and introduce yourself and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Basically, it's the same thing. What we do is first you gave us your application to explain what the application was. And now we've notified the folks around you if they want to come out and ask you questions. Apparently, no one does, but we still have the formality to go
Sure.
through. So if you could just kind of explain what you want to do. The one issue we do have, which I think is still lingering, is an exact
Measurement?
measurement. Yeah.
So I sent the measurements yesterday to Gretchen.
Okay.
And if you want, I could walk out Brian Williams.
Yeah, right.
That house looks better than it does in real life. But I can tell you, it's sort of ironic when you hear it. I measured the house and gave Gretchen measurements from this corner, the corner where this little shed roof will come out,
Right.
about 2'6" and then this corner over here. The house is sort of sitting this way, the road is over here. It's sort of closer on this end. Aside from the addition, it's just not quite parallel with the road. The ironic thing, doing the math yesterday, this, if I'm doing the math correctly, I think I am, bump out to the post here that we're talking about is only 1 inch closer to the road than the house is right now. So all of this is over 1 inch that I'm planning on moving closer to the road with that overhang because of the way the house sits, the angle it's on.
Now, in what form did you give the measurements? I mean, did you?
I gave feet. What I gave was the feet to the fog line, and I measured from the center of the road back. You guys are 20. I think standard town roads are 25 feet off center line, right? So I gave two because I knew we could do the math pretty quick here. To the fog line, it's 10 foot wide, to the center line of the road, to the center of the yellow stripe. So yeah, the measurements you have are to the fog line.
They were in an email.
Okay.
So I have a question, because, so when you say it's like an inch, you mean like from the northern corner, which is the closest?
Yes.
Because you said, because I know your application of like 4 to 5 feet, but that's just 4 to 5 feet from where you're building it, but you're saying that because the northernmost corner is
Sort of closer to the road.
it's only an inch from the northernmost?
Yeah, inch closer. That's my quick math.
Yeah. So you have provided this site plan, I think from the last one. Are there measurements, like, are these showing, like, are these lines here, would they have measurements on it? It's kind of cut off.
No, I think they're descriptions.
Oh, because there
See,
looks
like down
there's
here?
other, like this,
Yeah,
oh, I
you see
see.
like fire pit.
Oh, okay. That's what they would
I
have.
don't know.
What we typically get is a survey, and I trust your measurements absolutely, but typically what we do is get a survey, and the survey, they certify exactly what the
Right.
distance is and all that kind of stuff. And there's been, and the numbers have been off a little bit, which happens from time to time. This is, you know, it's,
Well, yeah, so I had spoken to Brian Tan, he's the zoning enforcement officer, because his determination letter had that you needed like a 38-foot variance. And
Yeah, I
he
don't know
said-
why that was in there like that.
And,
yeah.
and so he had said that he had asked for a survey, which hasn't been provided yet. So I think that's.
So we
what-
did, I did a couple of years ago, it's in somewhere in the files here. I provided a survey because when I first bought the house, I wanted to put an addition on the back. And the person, whatever the person would be that sits in the position of authority downstairs, said I couldn't do anything in the back of the house because the house was too close on the front to the road, which was insanity in my mind. And that changed. Apparently, in the course of him making me do that, I got a survey. And I brought it in. And that surveyor gave the exact measurement, and that's how I found out the road had moved, right? I mentioned that in the last meeting. So the town has moved the road closer to the house.
Since your survey?
No,
Or
since,
the survey?
from when
moves?
surveys first started and they did rods and chains, the
Okay.
road has moved closer to my house.
Okay.
I don't know if the town got a variance for that, but they moved it. So he gave the exact measurement, and when I came back, because I was 1 foot further than what was needed for the variance, I was told, by the way, you don't have to give it to anybody, because he's gone. And then the person that was filling in for him, I'm not sure their names, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
When I walked into the office, he said, "Are you kidding me? You're trying to do something on the back of the house and somebody was making you figure out the front of the house? You can't do it on the back?" So he said, "Forget about it." But I still submitted the survey at that point because I had it and I was sort of happy about it. So it exists in this building.
Can you research that to see if you have that information? Do you still have a copy of it?
I'm sure
Yeah,
it's
see,
fine.
that's the only glitch here. And, you know, we hate to be nitpicky because, you know, in my mind, it's not a big deal, okay, this thing. That's just my opinion.
The project.
Yeah, but we really need to have exact measurements because,
You do realize that somebody like me, when you see what's going on, if I have to get your exact measurements, because I know he did what we were concerned about before, and he's got to come out, you're talking about another $3,000 to $4,000 for a 1-inch variance.
but do you have that survey that showed
If
the,
I would have that 1 point, because that's what he did. He did the 1 point to the closest point of the house. He wouldn't have all the measurements, you know, at that time. To get everything you're looking for, all 4 corners of the property.
No, we mean the
'cause-
closest, that's the point that's gonna be
Yeah.
imperative, is the point that's closest to the house. to
Is
the
there
road.
any, are there any other items that you guys might want to include?
The only
So
other
that next
item-
time I come back here, because it may be months, because I don't care, just, like, if I
Well,
have
if
to
you
get him
have,
again.
if the survey
Yeah.
includes that,
I
that's
understand.
that's a big part of the element. The other thing we would need is the measurement of this roof. Like you said, you're thinking it's about an inch. You
An
know?
inch to the post,
An-
what
an-
your
an inch.
drawings are there, yes.
Yeah, an inch, but that's the only other verification we would need, because that's really what the variance is for that inch or foot or what have you know. So that's the only other measurement we would really need would be what's on the survey, hopefully, which sounds like that's what we're looking for, and then the measurement from this post, once it's built, to the road.
And what we do in situations like this where there's just one little discrete piece of information that we have, instead of having you coming back and back and back and back and back, I mean, what we typically do is we hold this public hearing open, and at the next meeting, we would close it, presuming we got the information we had, and we would have the resolution ready that day, that night, instead of having to wait, because usually what happens here is we close the public hearing, assuming everything is hunky-dory, and then at the next meeting, we read the resolution. We have 62 days from when we close the public meeting, but we usually do it the next meeting, within 30 days or so. So the thought here was, just so we have an opportunity to get this information, is we'll leave the meeting open, but assuming we get the information we need, that one real measurement, I think, is one
Well,
or two.
I guess
It's probably
two, we'll need to confirm if we can find the survey.
Right.
So you don't have an extra copy of the survey?
I didn't bring it with me. If I knew.
Oh, no, but you
I
had, but
could have come to
if for
town
some
building
reason,
and gotten it.
if you can't find it, we can,
Do you know who did it?
Decker.
Because you can contact him.
Yeah, no, I can.
And
Yeah, but
just have
no,
him
because I had to submit it last time.
add it to,
So what I'm gonna make an application is that we hold the public meeting open, but we'll continue the public hearing in September with the eye on closing it, and then instead of waiting another 30 days, immediately having the resolution ready that night. So you don't lose any time is the bottom line. But it serves your purposes because you don't lose any time. Serves
So
our
there
purposes.
could not have been a resolution tonight.
No, we
we
don't
wouldn't
do
have done,
resolutions.
because we like to get, in case there's any public comments, we always like to include that. And the board has to also do a site visit,
Okay.
Yeah,
so it wouldn't have been done tonight.
yeah, it never is. But,
That's more palatable.
yeah,
Yeah, because to find out about that right now, when I could have found out about that, because guys are hard to get a hold of and employ people to do stuff like this if something more has to be done.
yeah. And it's not a lot, and that's the thing. And I know you've been trying, and yet the renderings are beautiful and everything else. It's a nice application. So we don't want to give you a hard time, but we have our job to do because we're given a variance from the law, so we have to be exact. So let's get that survey. I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing until September 20th.
I will not be here, so you'll have to handle it without me. So just, you'll have your survey. If there's any problems, there's problems. I have Colorado.
Can somebody?
What's that?
Can somebody be here on your behalf?
If I can make it anybody, sure, somebody can be here.
I mean, as long as you, I don't think it
Well,
has.
just-
I would say that, this is a continuation of a public hearing. So Mr. Williams has already provided a description of the application. If it's continued, you can open the public hearing, accept any public
Additional
comment.
information.
If there's any opposition or comments that need to be addressed, which it doesn't
No,
sound like there
it's not
probably will be, we can handle it at that point, but I don't think it should be delayed, just,
No, I don't
you've
want to,
already-
we want a
you made
resolution
your
next time.
application, So you can accept
Okay.
any public comment, and then if there's a resolution, we'll
Okay,
repeat that.
so just get us that survey, and we'll look for the survey too, and between the two of us, we'll get the information and have a resolution for you on this one.
Is digital or paper copy acceptable?
What was that, Kathy?
Is a digital or paper copy acceptable? It's
Either
acceptable.
one, as long as, as long as it's legible, is really the main point.
So
But you're not losing any
if
time.
you end up getting a digital copy from the surveyor, that's fine.
Just so you guys can be clear, this is going to cost, no matter, everything costs money, I've said this, right? And I'm being pressed to do this. So the delay in the bigger picture doesn't bother me as much as not knowing until right now that I had to dig it out downstairs or wherever, because I probably could have brought it. And I know we talked about the measurements, but I thought it was satisfied by my 3 measurements that I got, because, this is not something big. It's much smaller than the deck that I removed that you guys saw pictures of.
Right,
Yeah.
right, but you're not getting delayed,
Yeah.
because even if we close the public hearing this evening, we wouldn't have a
I get it.
resolution until the next time around. So we're just going to close it next time around, assuming we have what we need, and do the resolution on the 20th.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Good to go.
all right.
Thank you.
All right.
Anyway, well, thank you.
And I'll forward the measurements to Brian, because he hadn't seen the application. So just to make sure he understands what the application is too, because I don't know where these, the 38 feet obviously is quite off.
Right, I didn't understand what that was. The only thing I could think of is that he was subtracting whatever the setback is supposed to be to the back of the house, and then backing it up towards the road.
Yeah, I'll talk to him, but that's,
Yeah, I'm not
I'll
sure.
just make sure, that way just both departments are on same track.
But if I put a 38-foot roof on the front, that would be nice. It'd be like, pretty attractive driving by, right? Nice carport, busport.
Well, that's why we want to make sure we get the exact measurements, so that you don't put that.
Yeah, right, well, trust me, I can't afford it. So-
Understood.
All right, thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much, you too. All right, so, again, should I make a formal motion that we continue the public hearing?
Yes, please.
Okay, so, again, I make a motion to continue the public hearing so that we, for the purpose of getting that additional information. Do I have a second? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay. So it'll be continued on to September 20th.
And Gretchen, when, sometime this week, would you mind emailing Mr. Williams, just letting him know what the submission deadline is? Just so we can keep everything moving and everything. Because he did submit the measurements yesterday.
Well, I sent him an email, I'm like, they still need measurements, so.
And then, like I said, I'll talk to Brian, just to make sure he's in agreement with everything. Because he didn't have the survey, so I think he was working on parcel access, which isn't exact.
But
So-
this isn't a big deal application, so I really would like to help them. make sure
Oh, I
we get
know, I
that.
understand.
And it looks great.
We just want to just make
So,
sure that everything's, everything's
Less
good.
than a mile from the house.
Okay, okay.
You vastly improved the look of it there.
Yeah, okay.
We don't have anybody assigned to this, or do we?
Oh, yeah, do you want to have that point of contact?
What do you think? Is it my
I'm
turn?
not making, well, you have Optum.
Okay.
I mean, so I guess
Well,
we're
that's the
going to
other
be
thing.
starting to, so this is really more for like a point of contact, I think, right? This
Okay.
is just more that someone's going to be.
I mean, whoever's turn it, if it's my turn, then that's.
Yeah, well, so Catherine has Bell.
It's actually, wow, Richard, I'm taking Richard's, so.
Well, but we're not drafting,
Right, we're in the process of
So-
probably having
So if
him,
Richard,
really.
if he can, give us a call and tell us how the site visit went and stuff, and we can incorporate that into the resolution. So if you wanna give it to Richard, again.
I'll take it.
I can,
Well, the two of us will do it.
okay,
We'll tag team like we did the last time.
okay.
I'm available for meetings too. That was
Okay.
interesting to write that one up.
Yeah.
Actually, I got some things coming up, so I'm
Okay.
going to not commit to
I
something.
will do it.
Yeah.
All right, so the next application is Optum.
Good evening. I am Eric Bitzer. I'm with SEMA Network, the sign vendor for Optum.
Okay, and is anybody here for the Optum? All you people out there are here? No, I guess not. But you know what you have to do. Just go through what you want to do. We know what you want to do, but if you can just do it for the record.
Sure.
There's some
So
questions.
we are rebranding an existing medical facility to Optum. So we are looking to switch out like for like the signage on the building as well as the monument. This is the design package. That is the building sign, which we did receive a permit for and have that already in hand. That is the door vinyl, which allows you to know the entrance plan and hours. The rear door that tells you where to enter. And then this is the double-faced monument. It is a non-illuminated sign.
Okay. And so the two variances are number of signs and maximum square footage, basically.
Yes, so I spoke with Brian because there was a question from the ZBA if the vinyl signs on the door are included as
Right.
part of the sign calculation, so I had a call with Brian. He reviewed the application, so the revised determination letter is dated August 3rd. Did you receive that?
I did not.
Okay, well, it's not really much of a change, with the exception of, so the door vinyls are included as part of the sign calculations. So initially, what the variances were variance for this sign, the monument sign, because monuments, freestanding monument signs can't be more than 12 square feet, because it's double-sided. It was 11.6 on both sides, so there was that 11.2. That has been removed, that variance requirement has been removed, and instead it's been incorporated into the fact that you can't have your total signage be more than 30 square feet. So that includes, that will take care of the monument sign, the door vinyls, and the lettering, which has been approved, just because the total signage is now over 30.
Okay.
So that's the one, and then the other one is the number of signs. Brian is counting the freestanding as 2 signs, because it's 2 signs. So it's 1, 2 on the freestanding sign, the identity sign, and then the 2 vinyls, so it's total of 5. In the CBS district, you're allowed 1 freestanding and/or identity sign, so a total of 2. So the other variance is for the 3 additional signs, which was similar to how it was worded in the first application, that it was the door signs that needed the variance. So really nothing has changed, with the exception of one less variance.
Questions, concerns? Yeah, the application is pretty simple and pretty self-explanatory. So at this point in time, I'd move that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's your turn.
Okay, second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so what we'll do is we will come out and we just drive around, whatever, it's pretty obvious. And at the next meeting, we'll have a resolution ready for you.
Okay.
So that'll be September 20th. And apparently I am the person who's responsible for that.
Or the point of contact.
Oh, the point of contact, I like the point of contact. And shifting responsibility to you. But we'll have a resolution, we'll have a decision by the 20th of September.
Okay. We'll be back then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the planning board did provide a referral response.
Yeah.
The only comment they made was the coloring, but they said that overall that wasn't a problem. And Gretchen, anything from Dutchess County Planning Board?
Matter of local concern. Matter of local concern.
Oh, local concerns, okay, great. All right.
Okay, and then the last, so that's it for the public hearings. We just have one matter of old business, which is the Bell matter. And Catherine and I went out, was it last week? And did a site inspection. And I know a resolution was prepared. The one concern that we had, and it wasn't the height or any of that kind of stuff, it wasn't the application itself. It was the language from the planning board who suggested that the Department of Transportation be contacted in some fashion and I know there was some contact in the past. The applicants indicated that to us.
Well, the planning board's recommendation was to verify with DOT that the length, the location of the fence was going to be acceptable
Right.
towards the road. The previous conversations from DOT was regarding if a guardrail
Right.
could be installed, which the applicant had indicated they had tried to get. So that was that conversation. So it wasn't about if they,
No, I
the
understand.
size. No, I'm just for the
Yeah,
record,
but-
just explaining what that is. And I think Catherine had a question too about talking about plantings.
Well, in the DOT's note that they sent back to you, they had a link to homeowner something or other, but it didn't actually explain very much. But it did kind of echo the planning board's concerns about how if the distance back was far enough, if there was enough room, if the trees were gonna make it more of a problem than less of a problem. We were thinking the trees were
We're a good thing.
a good thing, both for, certainly for you, but also in terms of addressing the issue that we had. But it just seemed like there were a couple of open questions that we didn't really have when we came and visited.
Yeah, I think I did mention, that we had received, for the record, we received a letter back from the planning board. I'm trying to find the date on it,
Okay.
July 18th.
Yeah, I can pull it up.
It's July 18th.
Yeah.
This is our only concern.
No, yeah, we just didn't receive a copy of that.
Well, they send it to us because what happens is when the application, and I'm referring to this letter, but when the application comes in, we have to make referrals to agencies that have to look at this as well as us, planning board, et cetera. Planning board came back, delivered a letter dated July 18th indicating that while either distance seems like it would be adequate as a setback from the property line, we recommend that the ZBA require the applicant to obtain comments in writing from the New York State Department of Transportation stating that they do not have any issues with the proposed fence location. I think that's probably easier said than done. And then we were also speaking, we were talking with Kim about maybe having just the town highway department go out there and take a look, see, but
I mean, if I would say, if we could get DOT, since it is a state road, that would be the best, but just understanding that we don't know what their response time is, we could always also
It's-
ask for.
see, my concern is, I mean, obviously I want to address this issue that the planning board has, but I also don't want to delay the applicant forever. And I don't think, not trying to disparage the New York State Department of Transportation.
7 months we took to get an answer for that guardrail. So when we did finally get them back on the phone and we talked about building and putting plantations and stuff in.
Could you just?
Yeah, Mr. Bell, come on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
This is Jason Bell. And
Yeah.
Mr. Bell, if you could just.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Bell, owner, applicant. When we had put the application in and talked to DOT about doing the guardrail, there was a 7-month lag time in the response time. So once we received that, that was all done via email and in writing. So that's when we started inquiring from the contact at that point on what then can be done if you weren't going to, or what we could do as far as construction. And they said, anything on my property line that goes in accordance with the town. So,
Is that,
all via phone call.
Okay.
So, yes, I'm the last person on that, I forget his name, but I was in contact with him because there was also talks of driveways and stuff at other point to be put in if I was to do asphalt. So I had a couple of different questions for the DOT. When I finally got him on the phone, I'm sure I could get a contact via verbally again and possibly reach out to see how soon I could get something like that confirmed, but there was a 7-month lag time in getting that for it. But they had to do some more stuff with the guardrail than they would in replying to the request I'm imagining that you're having. That doesn't seem as in-depth as
Yeah,
them
like-
trying to put a guardrail out.
right, I mean,
Yeah.
if that's just making sure that they don't have a problem, and if they could just say the same thing, then as long as it's on your.
That's completely understood. If that said a little bit more in writing, I wouldn't be here in front of this microphone right now. Yes, completely, yes, that's it.
There was 2 parts to that. One, they said that they felt like there was a discrepancy in the measurements, that one document said it was 20 feet from the edge of the pavement and 5
Yeah.
feet from the property line. And then they read something else that they thought it was 9 feet from the property line.
Yes, is
Could you
the,
just confirm
Okay,
how far
they
from
want
the
from the
road
property line.
and how far from the property line?
Okay, when I was told from the DOT that I guess my property changes where, and I don't know how 9G is laid out, but I guess if you looked at 9G, and where my property is in reference to 9Gs and right-of-ways, I guess basically he told me I'm at the short end of the stick. So I guess other property lines are closer towards, so you can see stuff closer towards, and I veer out, and my property line is further away than normal on 9G. So that's where his answer to me was very quickly, yeah, you are sufficient in any kind of a setback, but I will try to get that in writing, because that was made very clear to me, and if you actually look at the mapping, I'm not a map guy, but he was telling me on the phone verbatim, the way that the lines were cut, that I would be in far exceedance of anything that they would have concern of, and which brings us to the fence and sufficing with the town of Rhinebeck. Did not realize I needed that in writing at that time, or else, believe me, I would have obtained it or started to.
And neither did we until.
Oh, no, believe me. There's a lot of learning that's been going on. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
and July 18th is when we first got wind that a planning board would like to have some input from DOT. So,
I know Brian might have a contact.
Okay,
The zoning board.
Okay.
You might want to give him a call.
of course, yeah, I'd like to.
Because I know there was somebody he talks to,
Yeah, you know,
for his questions.
the blacktop lady, she seemed to have a very good connection with him in dealing with him, so I don't know how I can try to get a hold of, but I'll see
Think
what I
you
can
guys
do.
named Rob.
Yeah, the same gentleman, so it's just
Yeah, and
flagging
then
him down.
I think the other thing, because Catherine, did you want to discuss about tree plantings?
Well, when I was looking at, you know, some of their guidance, you know, it was just kind of like, it felt like they were saying, don't put anything very close to the road, trees, fence, anything else. But there weren't specific measurements included, you know, and so, you know, we had felt like, or I felt like that it would be better for you all the way along if you continued some of that tree planting down the rest of the
right.
fence.
And I was the same opinion.
100% in the scheme
Right.
of things going on, and just had stalled because the little one showed up running quicker than, which we actually at that point thought we would get the
Yeah.
fence up quicker.
And that's what's up there. For
Right,
public.
and we.
That's what's there now.
Intent is to continue with trees and vegetation and sunflowers, and believe me, I really wasn't expecting to see a fence, and don't really want to look at a fence.
Right.
But we're doing it for not necessarily aesthetics, see through most of it, and yeah.
Well, then when I was reading the DOT stuff, it just brought up the question of like, from their perspective, are the trees making it worse, you know, because it's closer to the road? So it's just clarification on those things, because we really thought it'd be better all the way around.
Trees all the way down.
Yeah, we wanted more trees.
That's the full, that's me and my wife's opinion too.
Yeah.
And when there's thousands of dollars in trees. You know what I mean? I'm
No,
working on,
there-
there's thousands and thousands. So we ran out of money for trees. We will soon have more money for trees and continue along doing the same thing. And our idea was the greenery the better. And that's really the idea, so people didn't see kind of thing, you know what I mean? And who doesn't want trees?
Yeah, and
You know what I mean?
it
So that's-
insulates you too. And-
Right, so at that point, with the trees being in front, and all the vegetation being in front, the fencing, and yeah, I'll be told.
You're not gonna be able to see the fencing.
That's the idea, that's
Yeah.
really, yeah.
But it's
really
another
the
buffer
idea.
for you.
Yes,
So I think Catherine and I were both in agreement that
That made sense.
that made sense to have more, so. Anyway, so I guess,
So I just think in terms of clarity from what we need is make sure we have the right distance from the road for the fence, and if it's not a big deal, to just say the trees as well, like how far they are from the road, and how far from your property line for each of those.
okay. I know the trees are basically on my property line, and the fence is, I believe, 3 or 6 feet off of my property line.
And if you're able to get in touch with DOT, if you could just clarify like what distance they have to be, and then we can have your measurements and their measurements and hopefully.
and talk to Gretchen, and I guess she can make sure that we talk to whoever can expedite
We'll
this.
try and figure out who we can.
Yeah,
Contact.
I don't remember the gentleman's name, but there was one gentleman, and he knew everything, and he had everything. It was just there was the contact for the guardrail that happened during COVID, and I'm sure that delayed everything as well. So hopefully stuff is a little bit more speedy right now, and I'll gladly reach out to him tomorrow
great.
and see what we can come
And
up
we'll give
with.
you, Gretchen, would you mind sending the referral response to Mr. Bell so that you can have it in
Yeah,
writing?
Right, just read over it, make sure I'm not missing nothing, and if I can get them to trees, fence, from DOT, anything else, right?
No, I mean, sometimes in things like this, you can just maybe even send, if you find the right person, send them an email saying, this is what was said on the phone, can you concur?
And
they just have to
that's if
go.
I can get that gentleman on the phone,
But
very
I'm
nice
saying,
in dealing
you know,
with people, please and thank yous, it's memorable.
But
So
he doesn't
I-
have to write anything, he just has to
No, no,
write
just-
back and
yeah.
say, yes,
He-
I agree.
It's not like he didn't look at this already. You know, what I mean, he's looked at this piece of property, we've gone over lot lines, and he had said this stuff to me, I just gotta get him to say it again on a piece of paper. So, yes, even if it's drafted by me and signed by him, I don't care how it comes up.
An email's fine, doesn't have to be
Emails,
formal,
okay.
just,
Because then you
And
can
it-
copy me on the email too.
yeah.
All right, then I'll take that, listen, if you can email the town, so we can relay it along, so we can have a little paper trail for this, that would be sufficient.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem.
It covers you, it covers us. and
DOT,
saves
it's a
there.
state road, I was deferred to the state to begin with, and it doesn't surprise me to go back to the state again. Of course, of course. No?
So, that's the only thing that's really outstanding, and it's not your fault, it's not our fault, it was brought
That's
up by
understood, that's
by the planning
understandable.
board,
It's a new piece of letter, new piece of information, we'll gather it all as we could, yeah.
and I think that's really it, just the, potentially, well, the extra vegetation, which we will all agree on. And, I think, I know, we're in favor of it, but we just wanted to make sure
Clarification,
that all the
we gotta
Ts
dot
are-
i's and cross t's, I'm asking
Exactly.
for, I know what I'm asking for, and I appreciate you guys going through the time and coming out and taking your efforts and being patient for people that aren't really all that knowledgeable about the fine codes that are written that I don't really understand, and I'm glad you guys do. And yeah, we'll work on the DOT, and I'll get a letter to you guys, and
And we'll get that resolution done on the 20th of September.
20, that'll be the next
Yeah,
meeting.
well,
All right, so
assuming we have the.
assuming we can get that piece of paper, we'll wrap it all
Once
up.
we have the information, we'll be good to go.
Right.
Okay.
I guess my concern is I just don't want to wait forever for this.
No, yeah, well,
Yeah.
and if we don't have it by, if you make the efforts and we don't have it, we'll try to figure out something.
Right.
So the other thing is, so the ZBA has to issue a decision within 62 days of closing the public hearing, which was last month. So counting 62 days, we're going to be one day short. It's going to be September 19th. Would you mind giving the ZBA one additional day so that we can do it on our regular scheduled meeting?
Yeah, I think that's more than sufficient for everybody. We can
Okay,
keep a
great.
regular schedule, we don't need to do anything special. Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, of
We'll
course.
get this
of course.
done, don't worry.
That's what it seems to, and that's
Yeah.
all we're trying to do. So yeah, I'll gladly work on DOT and get you the paperwork as soon as possible, and get emails from Gretchen, we'll go through all that stuff. And again, Board, thank you very much for your
Perfect.
time. We
Thank
really
you very
appreciate it. Yeah, thank you
And,
for verifying, and we'll get through it.
We will get this done.
Yeah, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys, have a great evening.
You too. All right, well, that's all we have. Do we have any other, I know we wanted to talk about, we can talk about it as far as the writing of other resolutions in the future, and that kind of stuff, procedure.
Yeah, so I mean, if you want, so typically what's been done in the past is that at the first meeting, the planning board gives the resolution to somebody and then the planning board member drafts it up. It is a lot of work and you guys are a volunteer and there's been some discussion about trying to change that a little bit. So what's most important really is that it's always going to be the board's decision. Always, you guys are the fact finders, you guys are the decision makers. I review the application, so I can always certainly get the resolution started. Just in terms, the procedural stuff is mainly just fact stuff. That doesn't have anything to do with decision making, it's just kind of filling in some of the dates and the seeker determination referral responses. And then what I would suggest is that, if we want to still assign the resolution to a point of contact, And then, just let me know, the board should consider starting to deliberate after the public hearing. Maybe after you close the public hearing, give me some of your thoughts so that I can take notes down, where you think you're going. I can start drafting up a resolution based on those guidance. And then, when you do a site visit, if someone can give me a call, send me an email, let me know, what you see, and I can take what you put in your words and put that for discussions of the site visit.
So we'll assign it to a person as a point of contact.
Yeah, and then, like I said, just give, just really give me a call for how you think the site visit went. But like I said, if after the close of the public hearing, just give me some of your preliminary thoughts. It's preliminary and you can change your mind on it, but it just gives me a point of contact, or it gives me a point of beginning to start putting down your decision. But that's the important thing, that it's always going to be you guys are the fact finders, your decision, and, we'll just apply the balancing test.
If you want to talk, I know the Williams matter is still technically open. We have a,
Yes, yeah.
is it inappropriate to talk about that now?
Well, you guys had time, you guys already kind of did talk about it.
We did. I don't think there's any, it's a nice application. We just have to get the numbers and have exact numbers. I think I'm for it certainly. I don't know about the rest of the gang, but that's the way I would write up the resolution is in favor of granting the variance. Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty simple one, and what he wants to do is very attractive. And then on the Optum one, that's pretty simple to in my mind. And that one we actually closed tonight. And, the signs have to be changed, and they're not really doing a whole lot other than changing it from the old company to Optum, and it looks fine. in my
Yeah, it's the
mind.
same size of it.
It's the same size and everything else, and we go through this all the time. And hopefully at some point in time, the town board will change the law so that in certain areas where there's traffic that goes by 55 miles an hour, we can have bigger signs, and we don't have to go through this all the time, because this is a recurring problem on major highway.
When you go up straight away,
Yeah.
like, Brookmead.
Yeah. That's exactly right, and the Brookmead sign,
Of conforming, they weren't even totally conforming, they still needed a variance,
correct.
but,
From time to time, that this comes up, like it came up with the generator situation, some of the smaller alleged accessory structures, the little pergolas and this, that, and the other thing, and finally the law was changed so that there had to be certain square footage, which got rid of all of our generator applications, all of our pergolas and all that stuff. And I think that's something that has to happen here, because on major corridors where Optum is, or Brookmead is, you have to have signs of a certain size so people can see it when they're going 55 miles per hour, or whatever it is. But, anyway. All right, so I guess, we're basically, we're affirmative on both of them, and,
and so really what, going forward, Kim, whoever is the point of contact is going to be relayed to you either in email or by a phone call, set up a phone call, a little bit more robust answering of the five-factor questions.
Yeah, and I think too, I think what would also just be helpful, just to kind of get the ball rolling, just like you did now, just give me your preliminary thoughts. I'll take the notes, like after the close of the public hearing. I know you usually close the public hearing, then you do the site visit after the public hearing.
Right.
So after the public hearing, just kind of give me your initial thoughts, and then when you have the site visit, just let me know if anything's changed. And then I'll circulate the drafts to you, and then, you can read the comments, and then we'll just
right.
read it at the next meeting.
It's really writing up all the front part, which is the factual part that's a pain.
Yeah, it's a lot of dates and a lot of stuff. But like I said, I already have notes on that anyway when I review the application, so it's just a matter of putting it in. And so, yeah.
And you review it anyway, so it's.
Yeah, and I
think it's-
review the resolutions anyway, so it's.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so we'll see how this works, and then, we'll
Sounds
adjust
great to
where it
me.
needs to be.
Sounds great to me.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, it's a lot,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of boards actually have their attorneys
Most do.
draft it up. But like, again, the important thing to just remember is that it's always your decision,
Mhm.
it's your voice, I'm just the scribe.
All right, great. Well, anything else?
I don't think so.
No, I
Next
guess-
meeting is September 20th.
Right, so, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. It's 7:45.
Since
Weird.
Wow.
Oh.